name is Sudip Giri and I'll be talking about Swami Dayanand and his life and about the Arya Samaj. So Swami Dayanand was born on February the 12th, 1824 in Tankara, Gujarat, the western part of India. At the time of Swami Dayanand, Hinduism had been divided into many sections of philosophy and theology. For example, people were following the rules in philosophic Hinduism, or they were believing in idol gods like Shivji in temples. This is the reason that led Swami Dayanand to think that idol gods in the form of statues cannot protect humans if they cannot protect themselves by keeping animals like white mice out of the temple on special days like Shivratri. Because of this, he left his home in search of a better way to understand the Vedas, which is basically the knowledge and truth spoken in the words of God and should be followed by all Hindus. This is when he met a teacher, Swami Dayanand, and achieved his Vedic education from him. 40 years had passed when Swami Dayanand completed his education in 1864. After his education, Swami Dayanand traveled around India to spread his knowledge about the Vedas for 10 years. Before we move on with his life, let's talk a little about what the Vedas are. The Vedas are known as the earliest literary record of the Indo-Aryan civilization, as well as one of the oldest and most sacred books of India. They are the original scriptures of Hinduism and contain the spiritual knowledge that covers all the aspects of life. Vedic literature, including its philosophies, have been the test for Hindus in time and is the highest religious authority for them and for mankind in general too. Veda basically means wisdom, knowledge, or vision, and makes the language of the gods in human speech evident. Since we now know what the Vedas are, let's talk a little about what it does and some of the rules within. The laws of the Vedas regulate social, legal, domestic, and religious customs of Hindus even today. All the required duties of ceremonies of Hindus at birth, marriage, and death, basically throughout their life, are part of the Vedic rituals. Last but not least, the Vedas draw forth the thoughts of successive generations of thinkers and contain different layers of thought within itself. Now moving on with the life of Swami Dayanand. In 1874, he accomplished his first major book titled the Panchamahayajna Vidhi. This book contains 5 sections which Swami Dayanand explains the types of yajna. The first section, Brahma Yajna, talks about how God gives without asking for anything in return. Deva Yajna, second section, talks about performing yajna, or in other words, puja or havan, as some of you may call it. Next is Pitri Yajna. This talks about taking care of and respecting parents and your elders. Atithi Yajna is another section that talks about respecting and taking care of guests, noble men and women like rishis and gurus, and the many people that put forth the effort of helping the Arya Samaj. The last section of Swami Dayanand's Panchamahayajna Vidhi, Baliveshwar Yajna, talks about taking care of animals that cannot ask for any protection as well as food. All 5 sections of this book talks about the different types of yajna. Just remember, yajna does not always mean to perform havan or puja, as you may call it, but it also means to do something without anything in return. For example, a river provides people with water to live off on, but does not ask for anything in return. Besides the Panchamahayajna Vidhi, Swami Dayanand also wrote more than 70 other books in all, including a 14-volume explanation of the 6 Vedangas, 9 volumes of the Rigved Bhashya, and 4 volumes of the Yajurved Bhashya. His most important and referred works include the Satyarth Prakash, Sanskar Vidhi, Rigved Bhashya Bhumika, Rigved Bhashyam, and the Yajurved Bhashyam. The most memorable part of Swami Dayanand's life was on the 7th of April, 1875 in Mumbai, when he established the Arya Samaj. Swami Dayanand, his purpose of this establishment was to move the Hindu Dharma away from false beliefs and back to the teachings of the Vedas. With his purpose, Swami Dayanand also created the 10 principles, which are quite distinct from Hinduism and are also based on the Vedas. Today, the Arya Samaj teaches the true Vedic religion and is at the core of Hinduism. It can also be known as a socio-cultural organization that was born out of the reform movement within Hinduism. The basic goal of the Arya Samaj has always been Prinavantu Vishamariyam, which means to make this world noble. The word Arya means to a noble being or one who is thoughtful and charitable and who thinks good thoughts and does good actions. This in total makes a man or woman an Arya. Swami Dayanand had a lot in mind when he created the Arya Samaj. He even knew it was the way to guide people into the Vedas, which is knowledge and truth spoken in the words of God. As one nobleman described the Arya Samaj, it is non-denominational, authentic Hindu Vedic religious organization dedicated to remove superstition, orthodoxy, and social evils from society, and its mission is to mold the lives of its members and all others according to the message of the Vedas with reference to the circumstances of time and place. Thank you.